Hare Krishna, dear devotees, very nice to see you again. We are continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita as it is. In our previous meetings, we have gone through the first two chapters in which we actually understood why is Gita uh, necessary, why how we arrived to that point when Krishna told Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. The second chapter gave us a brief summary of Gita. From that chapter, we already understood that we are spiritual souls, that we are parts and parcels of Krishna, qualitatively same with him, but quantitatively different from him, though it's not written in that particular terms, but he gives us this understanding that we are carriers of the same qualities. However, being on the material platform, it means that we go through the process of reincarnation. Yeah, but if we get born, we definitely will have to die. This body goes through the cycles and so on. And now, in this chapter, Krishna is starting to answer the questions that Arjuna has posed him. Yeah, he uh, we remember that Arjuna was lamenting that he didn't want to fight, he didn't want to uh, act as he was supposed to. And he asked Krishna to to clarify for him what he should do. And here Krishna starts answering. And this chapter is called Karma Yoga. Karma means action, yeah, activity, work. And it's a very popular word nowadays, worldwide. Not just in India, people have become very interested in karma. We know that karma is action and reaction, but here Krishna more profoundly explains how this mechanism is working. Yeah? Uh, uh, Especially, this is very important for our bewildered minds because we don't really understand how this universe is functioning. So this karma yoga is about activities, but such activities that will help us to develop spiritually and to elevate our consciousness. And in the very beginning, Krishna says that uh, he already explained that to Arjuna that there are people who thrive to self-realization. And there are other types who are not interested in it. He talks about that in the previous chapter. But those who thrive for self-realization, there are of two classes. Uh, some of them are trying to do that through empirical studies or through philosophical speculations, but the others do that through karma, through activities. But those activities should be of a particular character. In other words, they should be as a devotional service. Only in that case, a soul can get elevated to a spiritual platform. Here, Krishna also mentions that uh, we remember Arjuna, he was refusing to do his duties. But Krishna says that by merely abstaining from work, uh, freedom from the reaction cannot be achieved. Um, and no, by renunciation only, uh, this perfection cannot be attained either. Yeah. So uh, and karma yoga, karma as an activity or the work that the person has to do. Um, in other words, there is different types of karma. We know that karma here is described as a pious activity that is following the prescriptions of the scriptures. Yeah, the activity that can help you progress as a human being, as a soul in spiritual development. And this usually is taught to us by sadhu, shastra, and scriptures, yeah, and devotees. So if we follow the instruction, then we get elevated, and that's a proper karma. But there is another karma, proper karma, meaning that we are acting according to shastric instructions. We are acting out of love, out of our gratitude towards this opportunity that we have gotten the human body that gives us this capacity to develop spiritually, because in other types of bodies, spiritual development is not accessible, as we know. But there is also a different type of karma, which is known as vikarma. Vikarma, if karma is pious activities, vikarma is the activity that is against shastric instructions, which is actually violating shastric instructions. And that means that we are acting in a selfish manner. We are not interested in self-development. And we are conducting things to satisfy our senses, and all our life is actually arranged in that manner to obtain some opulence, to obtain some power, and so on. So this is the activity that we should be refraining from. This kind of activities lead to degradation. Actually, this is why Arjuna was refraining from his duty, because he could see, based on this principle of karma, action and reaction, he could see if that this war would bring about the degradation by giving the birth to unwanted progeny, which is actually they don't follow instructions, they don't have any authority, they don't uh, appreciate authority, and they are driven by greed, animosity, and this kind of things. So that's definitely leading to degradation. But proper karma, karma yoga, actually also provides opulence, but in a proper manner. It does not violate any laws, and it is violence free, actually, and that's why it leads to elevation. Further, Krishna describes that everyone is forced to act according to the qualities that he has acquired from the modes of material nature. This is also a component of karma. Yeah, we know that material world is operated through modes of nature, and we know that there are three modes of nature, and depending on our mental level of consciousness, we are either under the influence of all of them, but more under influence of one of them than other. But it's a complicated issue. Let's not dwell on it. So here he explains that it's impossible to refrain from doing anything, from doing something, because these modes of nature will make us act. But in order to um, elevate or to develop spiritually, we have to restrain our senses and not to dwell. Senses can be restrained only by not dwelling on sense objects. While if we dwell on sense objects, it will dilute our consciousness. And if a person is restraining senses, but still is contemplating the sense objects, he is simply a pretender. He is not truly developing. But on the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the activities of the senses by the mind and begins to get engaged in karma yoga without attachment, he is elevating himself. He is becoming a superior, or he is getting to a higher level. And it is very important to prescribe, to do our prescribed duty. This is better than doing nothing. And because we need to maintain ourselves, and without doing anything, it will be able to even maintain our physical body. Yeah, to maintain the physical body, we have to earn some money to be able to provide nourishment and other needs of our material body. So anyway, we have to work. But what we do and how we work is very important, because the activities can be even useless if we are not following these Shastric instructions. How to understand that? For example, if we are watering the roots of the tree will flourish. It will the trunk will benefit from it, the leaves will benefit, the fruits or whatever, the flowers, whatever this tree is bearing will benefit from that. But if we water the branches, if we water the leaves and the flowers only, that is actually a senseless activity, because the tree will dry up anyway if we don't water the roots. So we have to realize this connection, and this is a very good example in terms of karmic reactions. Then he Krishna explains further to Arjuna that in the beginning of the creation, he has created all the creatures, including human beings and demigods, suras in Sanskrit. Yeah, suras are superior to human beings because they are already they're perfect beings. They are they have they can control the laws or the forces of nature. And he also further says that along all creatures stand forth by Lord, uh, along with sacrifices of Vishnu. And uh, so these men and demigods were created uh, with the purpose actually to mm, make sacrifices to Vishnu. Vishnu, who is all pervading, we know that Vishnu is one of the expansion of Supreme Lord, who is the all pervading this material world and maintaining it. So the arrangement is that humans, they perform their activities, they perform sacrifices, yagyas, to the demigods, because otherwise humans can, because demigods are perfect creatures, but they are also part of this material world, who can so, who knows how to sacrifice the Supreme Lord. So they will kind of deliver this message further to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in this material world in the form of Vishnu. And through that will provide all the benefits back to the humankind. All the development depends on such an arrangement. The demigods uh, actually, we might start, some might argue that this is paganism, yeah? But this becomes a paganism if our sacrifice is, in a sense, to bribe the demigods, to ask for our some personal satisfactions. Mm, we can compare this to, yeah, well, uh, on the earth, we know similar things. Yeah, this human society is structured in a similar manner. Yeah, there is a king who is the ruler of everything of the country, and the king has his ministers that are in charge of different aspects um, uh, of the life of the kingdom. And if you want something to ask from the king, you have to go through the ministries, and they will convey the message in a proper manner, and they will be able to obtain a sanction from the king to be able to implement that um, requirement. So, and if you start to bribe the ministers, this is the vikarma, actually. It's a violation of the set rules. So similarly, on a spiritual level, the same arrangement is happening. And here it is also very important that in this text, where Krishna mentions that how this universe was created, uh, he says that God also blessed this creation by saying, "Be thou happy by his yagya, sacrifice, because its performance will bestow upon you everything desirable for living happily and achieving liberation." So the overall goal of such arrangement is to give happiness to people and to give them the possibility to achieve liberation. This is why it is very important that we go through this process of self-realization, meaning that we should understand that we are souls and not these bodies. And being the souls, we are parts of Krishna. But how to live happily also follows certain rules. And these rules are the rules of actually of relationships, how we should enter the relationships. Further, here Krishna describes the demigods being pleased by the sacrifices will also please you, and thus, by cooperation between men and demigod, prosperity will reign for all. In charge of the various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna, will supply all necessities to all. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to demigods in return is certainly a thief. I recall one story from Prabhupada's biography when he was together with his disciples in India, developing further this society. There was one businessman that was very fond of associating with Prabhupada. He would come very often to have darshan with him, and also he contributed a lot to the building of the different to the society, to build the temples and so on. And one day Prabhupada inquired about what kind of business he was doing. And this person said that he was producing glass, and it was very, successful business, rather profitable. And Prabhupada further inquired, where do you get this glass from? He explained, well, the glass is made through some chemical processes from the sand. And where do you get the sand from? And he said that the sand is available on the beaches. There are plenty of sand there. And Prabhupada told him, then it means that you are stealing from God, so you are a thief. Of course, this person was very upset by that, hearing that, and he was overwhelmed and started to tell Prabhupada that he was um, sacrificing some parts of income. Then Prabhupada told him that you are not that a big thief then. But this shows that, well, we should completely realize that whatever we have and whatever we can obtain is given to us as a gift by Krishna. And here further, Krishna says that, however, between those different types of people who are engaged in karmic activities or are engaged in vikarmic activities, there are other types of people who are devotees of the Lord. And these devotees of the Lord are realized, are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal self-enjoyment, they eat only seed. So see, this sacrifice covers all aspects of human's life, even the food, because even food is affected by karmic reactions. Consuming food is also an activity, so it will bring reaction. But if we consume food that has been offered to the Lord, then it's cleaned of all karma, and it will help us in development, spiritual development, and that is how we will achieve happiness through sacrificing everything that we have to Krishna, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He continues that all living bodies subsist on food grains, which are produced from brains. Brains are produced by performers of yagyas. See, even this material nature depends on yagyas. The yagyas are born from prescribed duties. So the living entities have prescribed duties. When they perform their prescribed duties and conduct yagyas, these sacrifices are then how to say it, these sacrifices are helping or, they are regulating the nature in a sense. Everything in nature is regulated, but since nowadays we forgot to uh, uh, how to sacrifice, this is why even the weather and the climate is not regulated. The rains are not coming in a regulated manner because of sinful activities of the human beings. Maybe in India, the seasons are more or less preserved. Yeah, there are 4 months of the monsoon season, and the division of the seasons are quite vivid. But in the Western world, for instance, in Georgia, it has become completely confusing because sometimes we used to have very snowy winters, but nowadays the winters might be sunny, like spring, and then the spring is completely vanishing from the calendar in a sense, and immediately summer comes. So all that is a result of sinful activities of man. If humankind would get back to uh, prescribed activities, regulated activities that are prescribed by Vedas, then uh, everything will, the entire material world will become regulated as well. So, thus, the transcending this material world will become um, easier, because this transcendence is situated in the acts of sacrifice. And here further Krishna says, if the person is not following this human life, in human life, this cycle of sacrifices, he is certainly living a sinful life. Living a sinful life, all his life is lived in vain. Other, he even says that he himself, though he is free of any duties and any prescriptions like that, irrespective of that, he still is following, or he is performing these duties in this material world to give the example to other people how to attain the supreme personality, that we should follow our duties. because whatever a great man does, a common man follow, and the great man sets standards like that by his actions. Mhm. Yeah. So here Krishna again mentions that if he did not perform prescribed duties, all this work that he was uh, these words would be put to ruination. So that will lead to the disruption of the entire system. I would be this cause of creating unwanted population and would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. Here, Krishna also indicates that the peace of all living beings depends on these prescribed duties, depends on conducting yagyas, and only through yagyas the living entities can become happy. Otherwise, this happiness is unattainable. So, but the main point that he's also indicating at is that these duties should be performed without attachment, because if we attach to the results, yeah, if we do something to in order to obtain the results, we get attached to that results, and thus we are bound more and more and entangled into material existence. Yeah, because for instance, if I make a good salary and I make good fortune, and one day I die, then during this process, I will think about all that property that I'm leaving behind, or all the deeds that I have not finished, all the projects that I have not finished, and then I will get reborn to fulfill my such desires. Mm. And he says that we should act in the spirit of devotion. Uh, and the spirit of devotion will generate gradually in us the Krishna consciousness. This is how the Krishna consciousness will be developed. And the person will stop being influenced by false ego. And he will stop thinking that he is the doer of all activities and but in reality, all these activities are actually carried out by the three modes of material nature, and all that activities depend on whatever what karma we have accumulated. Yeah, meaning we accumulate a karma is not by only how we behave or what we do externally. It also depends what we are thinking during our work. Like if we what kind of motivation we put into the work that we do. If we want to have to achieve a higher goals, we need to act accordingly from a higher platform with pious activities. And thus we can elevate our consciousness, and if we and our thinking will also be elevated, and our thinking also conditions what we are engaged in, how we work, what kind of work we are um, uh, doing actually. Thus, it's all interrelated. So if we want to achieve higher goals, but with sinful activities, this is impossible. Uh, and actually, everything that we do is kind of registered in our consciousness, which at the time of death is then flashed back at us uh, through the um, through the specific service. I call it a service of Yamaraj, who has the access to the entire um, database, so-called, of our activities. So he knows perfectly what we deserve, and he gives sanction to our following form of life. So if we organize our life the way to somehow secure the spiritual development, then he will provide the body. So I will try to explain it through through the picture uh, illustration that is provided in Bhagavad Gita. Here, if you can let us have a look at that. Can you see it? Is it visible? So in Bhagavad Gita, I don't know how to show it. Oops, no. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is such a, you know, illustration where we can see the face of a person. It's half person, half animal. And on one side, there is an activity that this person is doing during his life. And this illustration shows that if a person is, for instance, a meat eater, uh, if he enjoys and gets pleasure from meat eating in a human form, then he is generating his next life body, thus, and in the next life, he will be given a body of a predator. In this case, it's the tiger. The tiger is fully equipped as a predator to consume flesh. So, and for him, it's not a sin to do thus because this is this form is proper for the consciousness that this form is possessing, and thus he is not generating further sins, but in a human form that is destined for spiritual elevation. This is considered to be a sin, and this is considered to be a degradation. So, in that case, you are kind of wasting the human form of life uh, and getting into a degradation. And there are some other examples as well. For instance, why a person can become a tree if he is very fond of exposing himself or getting walking around naked. Then he will become in next life a tree that does not generate any um, bad karma by and then can enjoy standing naked in the world. So further, Krishna says that human are bewildered by the modes of nature, material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached to them. But the wise should not unsettle them, though these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. he says that if people are attached to material activities, that's because they lack knowledge. They are in ignorance. Therefore, Arjuna, surrendering of your work unto me with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from the lethargy, free yourself from lethargy and fight. He instructing him to fight. And then he says that those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follow these teachings faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive activities, actions. But those who out of envy disgrade these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors of perfection. So um, so he says that everyone follows his nature that he acquires from these three modes of, of nature. Further, he speaks that there are principles that to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion because they are a stumbling block of the path of self-realization. Yeah, because this can happen to humans because they might like doing certain things and they dislike doing some things. Like Arjuna here, he didn't. He he was refusing to conduct his duties because he could see that this could lead to degradation. But that was for his vision was linked to the bodily platform. He was considering all that were present at the battlefield as their his kin and close friends, and that's why he was looking at them as relatives, but not as the um, uh, souls who are Satchitananda. Uh, yeah, here Krishna also explains how the consciousness get covered and compares it to a mirror that is covered by dust or embryo is covered by womb. Uh, and and that leads and to different degrees of lust. Yeah, Arjuna actually he mm, understood naturally what Krishna was explaining to him, that everything depends on this law of karma in this material world. But he also posed another question uh, that there is some kind of a force that is let me read this question that he poses to Krishna. O descendant of Vishnu, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? Yeah, he says that sometimes even against his will, a person can get engaged in sinful acts. And that's when Krishna explains to him that this is the lust that is born from the contact of the spirit soul with material mode of passion that then later transport into rest. If we don't get what we want, we become angry. And that lust, Krishna explains, is all devouring sinful enemy of this world. It covers the consciousness of a human being, and it covers his mind, his intelligence, his senses, and devours them. And thus, the real knowledge also is covered from the living entity, and he becomes bewildered by that. And in order to overcome or to get rid of that lust, we have we have to regulate the senses and the senses and also the mind and intelligence, and thus slay this destroyer of knowledge by self-realization. This is why it is very important um, to conduct to learn how to fast, to learn, how is it called? How to regulate yourself. The working, he also says that to regulate the senses, these working senses are superior to dull matter. Then he says that mind is higher than the senses, intelligence is higher than the mind, and the soul is even higher, is above all of that, even above the intelligence. So this is where that is why it is very important that we should thus know oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence. And one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence or Krishna consciousness, and thus by this spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So here the major impediment in our spiritual development is desire, the lust. And how to overcome this lust is through transcendental knowledge, can be achieved through transcendental knowledge, which will be explained in the next chapter. So here I will stop. We have, I think, we have some time for questions, if any, or for further discussion. Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. Do we have any questions or any?
Not from my side.
Okay.
So, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna.
Thank you for your wonderful lecture. And as
Kisha, can you
Isha,
switch off your microphone, please? Because if, yeah, thank you.
if Isha will allow me, I'll stop the recording. And yeah, Isha, is it what you
Yeah,
But
we
wanted?
have.
We
can
are still
stop
left
here.
with few verses, right?
Yeah, I'll just switch off the record.
Okay.
Yeah?
So
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you,
thank you
dear
very much.
Abindi Mataji. And we will have next meeting on chapter 4 next Monday. So
No,
till
yeah,
Monday.
Monday.
Yeah, till Monday. And all online listeners, please stay tuned.
Thank you
Hare
very much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.